Thanks in large part to those testifying today and the corporations they represent, St. Louis has 11 more 90-degree days per year than when I was born. Mr. Lawler, are the overwhelming majority of fossil fuel CEOs Black or white?
No, I don't have the exact numbers, but I would assume they're white.
Yes. Ms. Watkins, is an oil refinery more likely to be situated in a Black community or a white community?
I'm not sure how to answer that, honestly. We've got oil refineries along the U.S. Gulf Coast, and we're very proud to be community members there.
Well, it's Black. Yeah, it's Black. Mr. Work, are the impacts of climate change more likely to hit a Black neighborhood or a white neighborhood first?
Congresswoman, I have not seen studies that would allow me to give you
The answer is Black. The facts are clear. A 2017 NAACP and Clean Air Task Force report found that Black Americans are 75% more likely to live next to company, industrial, and service facilities that directly harm us. For years, you all have continued to promote fossil fuels despite knowing that promoting them means promoting environmental racism and violence in Black and brown communities. You all are still promoting and selling fossil fuels that are killing millions of people. This is a striking example of white supremacy. Your profit-driven choices threaten my life, the lives of my family, my neighbors, and our communities every single day. I sit before you as a Black congresswoman with asthma caused by fossil fuels and the tear gas you fund. I have a lot of questions, let me say. Mr. Woods, as CEO, are you responsible for what Exxon does? Yes or no? It's just a yes or no.
For what ExxonMobil does, yes, I am.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. It's not a coincidence that toxic waste is frequently dumped in Black communities like mine. When toxic waste combines with fossil fuel flooding, the impact is unspeakable. My old basement in St. Louis County in a predominantly Black neighborhood used to regularly fill with potentially radioactive waste next to my son's bedroom due to floods made more frequent and intense by your production and burning of fossil fuels. Public school playgrounds in St. Louis regularly flood with radioactive water. Mr. Woods, would you send your children to one of these schools? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
Would you send your children to one of the schools where radioactive waste, where we have this flooding? Thank you.
I would not.
Thank you. And I don't want to either, neither does my community. It's not a coincidence that our communities are more likely to flood. You have known this flooding was coming for years. Ms. Watkins has too. Ms. Watkins, in the 1988 Shell report on page 26, it says, large low-lying areas like Bangladesh may need to be abandoned. Ms. Watkins, does that bother you that your company deemed a country of 98 million brown people expendable in exchange for storing profits? Yes or no? It's just a yes or no.
Actually, Congresswoman, I'm glad my company's been involved in the science research and involved in these discussions for decades. And we have been open and engaging with communities. And I feel what you're saying, and we are very active in the communities in which we operate and looking to make ourselves very much members of the community and invest in communities, especially where there is risk of climate change hitting harder than in other places.
Thank you very much, because it bothers me. Let me just say that. You didn't say it, but I'll say it. It bothers me.
It bothers me too.
What
bothers me is that
that's the end of my questions. I have to keep moving. But I have another question for you. Was Shell aware that Black and Indigenous communities in the U.S. would flood and burn first? Yes or no? Black and Indigenous communities.
I'm sorry, Congresswoman, I'm not familiar with what you're referencing.
Let me ask you this. Are Black communities like mine in St. Louis expendable to you?
Of course not. Communities are not expendable. We work every day hand in hand with our communities. And in fact, climate change is such a pressing issue that we have, as companies, we have to work with the communities and with societies and with the government if we're going to be able to get to net zero by 2050.
Thank you. And, you know, your companies for decades have been misrepresenting information and redirecting attention to solutions you know to be false, and that's continuing even in this hearing. But I thank you for speaking up and saying what you said. We appreciate that. But we're at a tipping point. Developing fossil fuels now, given the escalation of the climate crisis and its harm on Black and brown communities, is unconscionable. Given each of your roles in these attacks on our humanity, you all should resign. Thank you, and I yield back.